Well, let's speak now to former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville. Mike, 12 officers on this case now investigating which address Rayner was living in during this period of time. Is that a huge overkill, or is there more that they might be looking at that requires all of those resources?
Well, I agree. It's an enormous amount of officers. Some murder inquiries would have 12 officers on them. And there's some simple things that could be done here. The Labour Party could produce the document where she applied to be an MP. I mean, if they're looking at things like, did she claim single person's allowance when it was a council tax and there'd be a few £1,000s worth of fraud there? Are they going to look at that? When she sold the house, how much did she pay anything in tax? But these are really, the police have trained financial investigators, and one of those officers could really make all those inquiries. So why there's 12 officers? Because that sounds like there's probably a detective inspector, a couple of detective sergeants and detective constables who may well be better employed investigating burglaries, robberies and rapes.
I would think, Mike, that if she has done wrong and she's found it, she's got a lot of stuff to worry about right now with 12 officers investigating. And I mean, this is pure speculation, but it does sound to me as if there might be more than what we know. Stephen Watson, the Greater Manchester Police Chief, he said in terms of Angela Rayner, there are and this is a quote, a number of assertions knocking about. So that could be more than just what we know so far, right? With 12 officers involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steve Watson's one of the best chief constables. He's really turned Greater Manchester around. So I don't imagine he would waste officers' time on that. But what is it that we know? We know very little at the moment. As has been indicated, this idea that you can be prosecuted for electoral offences under the Representation of the People's Act, that's 12 months, so that's gone. You're talking about potential frauds, 2 potential frauds, and some sort of tax evasion. I think what the public will be concerned with, the greatest offence that a politician can commit, of course, is hypocrisy. And here we have somebody who's demanded to see a Tory MP's tax return and won't show hers, who demanded that Boris resign because he was under a criminal investigation and she hasn't resigned. So, and tells other people they can't buy a council house and buys hers. And I think to the public, that is the greater offence of all these.
What I don't understand is this mystery advice that she supposedly got, which is in some sort of letter saying you'd done nothing wrong, which if she'd done nothing wrong, we could have seen it, the police could have seen it, Sir Keir Starmer himself could have seen it, and this matter would all be cleared up. This is what I don't understand about the situation, which suggests to me that she probably has done something wrong.
Well, I absolutely agree. And as I said before, there's that document, you see this letter, this tax advice, and it's very amusing, isn't it, to see a Labour MP who usually say tax avoidance is the same as tax evasion. Now this has all changed. And there's also, as I said, the letter or the application form to the Labour Party to say where she was living. You've also got her aide saying one thing, the local neighbours saying another. So these things need to be cleared up. But as you've said, some of these things could be easily sorted, and they're not doing them, and people don't like evasion and potential lies.
Mike, you said Stephen Watson is one of the best chief constables, and from what I've seen of him, I agree. He's the guy who said, right from now on, we're going to investigate every burglary, every bike theft, everything. I think that's a great move on his part. But I do think he's got some questions to answer. When this issue originally arose, I think it was the Mail on Sunday or something revealed it, that she was stood accused of evading capital gains tax and not registering herself properly electorally. The Manchester Police looked into it and announced there's nothing to see here, no criminal investigation is required. Then a Tory MP called James Daly went back to the police and said, are you sure about this? I think it does require investigation. Guess what? Manchester Police did a big U-turn and said, yeah, you're quite right, we better have a look at this. Now they've got 12 detectives on it. So why would they have made that decision in the first place that there was nothing criminal here? There's a problem here, isn't there?
Well, I imagine it was quite a junior officer, you know, sort of a detective inspector who made that initial decision. And as we've indicated, one of the crimes she's accused of, she can't be prosecuted for because it's a long time. It's certainly more than 12 months ago. So somebody probably made that decision without thinking, strategically, this is a really national issue with real interest. So whilst we're only talking about a few tens of thousands of pounds, possibly, it's the fact it's the deputy leader of the Labour Party. So Steve Watson wouldn't have been involved in that initial decision. But of course, once it blew up, he would have, him and his command team would have had to make to change this and give guidance that they're going to do this. But I still do think that 12 officers is really a lot of officers for what would seemingly be a financial inquiry.
By the way, Mike, it's at least 12 officers. Well, yeah, it could be more.
You think with that many officers, if you've got 12 people working on this, then the whole thing should be done and dusted in a week. But they're saying this could go on for weeks and weeks. I mean, that seems mad.
Yeah, I'm with you, actually. I cannot comprehend how you can employ 12 officers for a week on a case where you say, right, show me this letter, show me this application form, show me your tax return for that year. How many officers does it take to do that? We understand it's a sensitive inquiry, so there's probably an experienced DI on it, but the rest I don't comprehend. 2 people, I would have thought, unless they've uncovered some... I don't know, wicked crime empire that it probably would seem to be nonsense.
Coppers, in the past have had a bit of a reputation sometimes for, shall we say, getting over-enthusiastic about nabbing a celebrity victim, a celebrity suspect. I would imagine that in this circumstance, Stephen Watson, the police chief in Manchester, will be all over the officers, making sure that this investigation is scrupulously fair. Would I be right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the police, you have the bronze, silver, gold issue. So the bronze will probably be some kind of maybe the DCI, the DI. The bronze, they're the guys, the workers who go and do it. But there'll be a gold commander who will be a assistant chief constable rank who will be overseeing this. Because, as you say, this is something that is front page news. It's the top of your news hour story, and the Manchester police will be all over that. If you look at the police in the past with some of the press failings we saw in Lancashire in particular, they will not want to repeat that. They'll want to get it right now. So as I say, every day there'll be a gold meeting where the latest developments are discussed. So there isn't any real cock-ups. That was the gold commander's aim.
Mike, thank you ever so much. Mike Neville, former police officer there. Now, Matthew, if they do uncover a crime empire after their...
I think we all think that's very unlikely.
I think we should stress.
If they do.
That's very, very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
I think Mike had his tongue in his cheek there, didn't he?
I don't know. Politics is getting a bit boring lately. I wouldn't mind it. But if she does have to step down and resign as deputy leader, who are the people most likely to take her position? One name that's been touted. You said Bridget Phillips.
I did,
last
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Someone that we couldn't pick out of a lineup, but I looked at her online. She seems to be part of the Lego factory of, funny hairstyles, funny bobs.
she's got the TV bob, which I'm glad to see.
She's got the bob, the Rachel Reeves bob.
Yeah.
But another name that's been thrown into the ring apparently is John Ashworth.
Who I used to share a flat with.
Did you?
I did, yeah. I've known John since I ran Young Labour, and he was just finishing school and was very active in Young Labour. I mean, John would be a great deputy leader, as would Bridget. John is actually from Greater Manchester, although he's an MP in Leicester, so he'd have the out of London thing. Because Keir Starmer, obviously London MP, you can't have 2 London MPs as the leader and the deputy leader. You need a bit of regional balance. So Wes Streeting, who would be a natural name to chuck in, who is an MP in East London, would put that probably rules Wes out. I would have thought that that there's be quite a lot of pressure to have a woman.
Yeah, a woman. Sure.
So that would take you more towards Bridget than it would towards John. But I mean, it'd be quite nice. You're getting old when your former flatmates have been talked about to be deputy leader of the Labour Party. John's one of the roles of the deputy leader is to be the kind of attack dog, the sort of take on the Tories, to be the minister for the shadow minister for Today programme, as it were. And that's one of John's jobs at the moment in the shadow cabinet. So that's, I think, why his name's been mentioned. So he's a possible. But I'd still put money on
would
Bridget.
it be a big loss to lose Angela Rayner? Because this is what we
Well,
were
it would be,
debating in the
wouldn't it?
first half of the programme, because James Price, our earlier guest, said, well, actually, for the Tories, it's quite useful she sticks around, she's not popular. Isabel Oakeshott said, no, I think she's incredibly popular.
I don't agree with James. I think
she's very popular amongst working class women, amongst lower income women voters in particular, who really feel that there's somebody who speaks to them, who isn't yet another Oxbridge educator. I'm not one. Special advisor. I plead guilty on that front. So I think she has a unique appeal in politics, and I think she brings something to the table, because you want somebody who has been a worker on the minimum wage, is a care worker. She's authentic. She is what she is, and she doesn't pretend to be anything otherwise. If you remember when she was taken to the posh opera at Glyndebourne, and some of the Tory papers, in fact, I think some Tory politicians tried to criticise her for that, and she was up front. She said, "What's wrong? Now it's too good for the workers." Effectively, is what she was saying. And I think she has an honesty and an authenticity, which is a really valuable voice round the table.
She does sort of somehow, by her very existence, expose some of those dinosaur attitudes of some of the conservative, old guard.
Do you remember when Nadine Dorries said, that about Cameron and Osborne, these were posh boys who didn't know the cost of a pint of milk? Well, certainly, Angela is the absolute antidote to that, and in a sense, she does bring something around the table. So I think everybody in the Labour Party. I was speaking to Keir's team at the weekend about Angela as the stories came out, and I think everybody's very keen that she stays. Keir's today was out fighting at Prime Minister's questions, criticising.
I tell you, he's fighting for her so much. He's absolutely almost considering looking at her tax advice.
I think now he's leaving that to Greater Manchester Police.
Brilliant.
Otherwise, what are these 12 detectives going to do if Keir took their job?
Yeah.